Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about the cheapest high cut alternative. So I'm sure that you've seen this helmet in any of those videos of me shooting and you've wondered what it is. I get this question every single time I go out shooting or go to a range. People are always asking me what this helmet is. And then I actually talk to them a little bit about what it is and how it started out. So the helmet that I have in front of me, it actually didn't used to look like this. See, this started out its life as an advanced combat helmet or an ACH, and then I cut it into a high cut. Now, obviously, yes, spending $2,000 on a true high cut, that's obviously the way to go. But this is for the poor people like ourselves. You're here for the same reason that I made this thing, because I didn't want to spend $2,000 on a high cut. I'd rather spend that money on my guns. Now, I'm sure you're wondering about the ballistic rating. There's been plenty of people that have, once they've cut out the earpieces on their ACH, they've actually gone ahead and they've shot the earpieces and it still held its ballistic rating. And I will be sure to link some of those below. That way you guys can go check it out. So when it comes to trying to actually source your ACH, the most important thing is what you type in the search tab. Obviously, don't type in ACH or combat helmet. I would recommend using super generic terms, and that's actually how I found this helmet here. So I just typed in the Facebook Marketplace and I typed in military equipment, army equipment, super generic terms, because a lot of times people that are selling big lots of equipment that they've either inherited from family members that were in the service or, passed their belongings to another family member. Now their family member stuck with them and they're just trying to let them go. This started out its life as a Bay Systems ACH, and it was in a photo with a multitude of different items. I messaged the seller and I was like, hey, I'm interested in that military helmet. I did not use the word ACH because then they're going to go and search up what an ACH is. They're going to see it's worth probably like $500-$600 on the low end, and they're going to upcharge you. So I just told her, I was like, hey, I'm interested in buying the Army helmet. She said, name your price. I said $50, and I ended up scoring myself a Bay Systems ACH. Now, when it comes to actually getting your high cut, you have a couple different options. There's a great company out there called Custom ACH, and I believe their starting price for cutting the helmet is $100. So depending on how cheap you get your ACH, this is going to be a great option. I wanted to try my hand at cutting my ACH myself, as I had a garage at the time and I had the tools to actually make it happen, and I did just that. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how I cut my ACH. The first thing that I did is I took off the outer trim that was around the helmet. So I tried to start the process originally with a heat gun, and that didn't work. So I then moved to a blowtorch, and that seemed to do the work. So once I got the trim off, the next thing was to actually put the arc rail up to the helmet and then mark where I wanted to cut. It's pretty self-explanatory. Put the rail on, take a Sharpie. If you're not half an idiot, you can figure it out yourself. And then it comes to actually cutting the helmet, and I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory too. Like, take your time. I actually ended up mounting my helmet in a vice clamp, and then I used a jigsaw and I cut it out. So the next thing that you're going to want to do after you actually remove the earpieces is you're going to put the trim on the ACH and replace it with the trim that you took off. I would not recommend reusing your old trim unless you're just dead broke, then maybe that's acceptable, but I'm going to say it's not. So go ahead, check the description below. I'm going to list the trim that I used for my ACH. And how you're going to apply this is going to be with JB Weld. I would recommend going with a little bit stronger JB Weld, something like the Marine series of JB Weld, and that is what I used. And then you're going to hold this on with clamps. I would recommend going to Harbor Freight and just buying like 10 or 12. I did half of the trim first, and then I did the other half. But while this side was drying, I made sure that I put a line of JB Weld on the exposed Kevlar just to sort of hold it in place. So I let that side dry for 24 hours, and then I moved over to the other side and finished up the trim. All right, so after you get the trim on your helmet, from there, it's up to you on how you want to run your helmet. I'm not going to sit here and try and tell people what to run with their helmets because everyone is different and people are going to be using their helmet for different things. So obviously, just set it up however the hell you want to. I'll sort of run through mine very quickly. We'll start with the front here. I'm running a Nordis Systems Nod Surround. The side, I have the arc rails, obviously, that I talked about. Just a generic helmet cover. But then the inside is probably my favorite part. So the padding that I actually run in my helmet is by a company called Hard Hat Veterans. I've been running their padding in all of my different helmets that I've had throughout the years and throughout my Army career. And hands down, it is the best padding. So I hope that this video provided some insight as to one of the cheaper alternatives that you can run when it comes to a high cut. Obviously, if you want to go out and spend $2,000 on a high cut, be my guest. Would I run a professional high cut if I had the money? For sure, but I'm poor, and that's probably why you guys are still here at the end of the video. But no, in all seriousness, I hope that this video provided some insight as to a cost-effective way to get your hands on a first high cut helmet. And I will catch you guys in the next video.